Most of us know what it feels like to be tired. You're up too late, you wake up too early, and you drag yourself through the next day. But lately, it feels like many of us are carrying a tiredness that sleep can't fix. It's more than just tired. It's the weight of uncertainty. It's the heaviness of seeing conflict all around us. It's the ache of living in a world that feels angry, divided, and unsafe. Even when we distract ourselves, scrolling, streaming, working harder, or planning the next trip, it doesn't go away. Our souls still feel restless. Here's the good news. This is nothing new. When I say that, I don't mean it to minimize what you feel right now. I say it to give you hope, because the very reason this deep exhaustion shows up in scriptures is to remind us that God already knew we would face it, and He made sure to record His answer for us. The people in Jesus' time knew exhaustion too. They lived under Roman rule. They paid heavy taxes. They faced violence, instability, and pressure from leaders who placed impossible demands on them. Life felt like too much. And it's in that setting that Jesus said these words, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Jesus wasn't just talking about getting better sleep. He was talking about something deeper, the kind of rest your soul longs for when the world feels too heavy. The psalmist puts it this way, "Truly my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from Him." So here is the question I want us to sit with today. Could it be that the reason we are always tired isn't just because of what's happening around us, but because we are trying to carry the weight of life without God? Notice what Jesus says first, "Come to me." He doesn't start with a list of rules. He doesn't tell people to get their lives together first. He doesn't even say go to the temple or do more religious things. He simply says, "Come to me." That is important because in His time, people were being crushed by religious expectations. The Pharisees had taken God's law and added hundreds of rules to it. Instead of leading people closer to God, they made faith feel like another heavy burden. On top of that, Rome demanded loyalty and taxes, reminding everyone daily that they weren't free. So when Jesus said, "Come to me," He's offering a different way. This invitation is personal. It's not about a system. It's not about a building. It's not about checking the right boxes. It's about Him. And this is where many of us struggle today. When we are tired and overwhelmed, we often run everywhere except to Jesus. We run to distractions, hoping they will numb the exhaustion. We run to achievements, hoping success will finally make us feel secure. We run to people, hoping someone else can carry our weight. But at the end of the day, we're still tired because none of those things can give our souls rest. Jesus doesn't say, "Come to a better routine" or "come to the right coping mechanism." He says, "Come to me." That means the rest He offers, it starts with relationship, with presence, with Him. Here's the first question you need to ask yourself today. When I'm exhausted, where do I go first? After Jesus says, "Come to me," He doesn't stop there. He says, "Take my yoke upon you." Now, that might sound strange at first. A yoke is a wooden frame that went over the heads of two animals so they could pull the load together. To us, it looks like more work. But to the people listening, this image made sense. A yoke wasn't just about work. It was also a symbol for teaching and authority. Rabbis in Jesus' day would talk about their yoke, meaning interpretation of God's law. Some rabbis made that yoke heavy, piling on rules people couldn't possibly keep. But Jesus is different. He says, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." This doesn't mean following Him is effortless. Life with Jesus still calls for surrender, obedience, and growth. But compared to carrying the crushing weight of life on your own or living under the unrealistic demands of people, it's lighter. Why? Because you're not pulling the load by yourself. You're walking with Him. Think about that. A yoke is always built for two. Jesus isn't asking you to carry something that he's not carrying with you. He's not saying, do this for me. He's saying, do this with me. And that's a major difference between the exhaustion the world gives and the rest Jesus offers. The world says, carry it all, figure it out, prove yourself. Jesus says, walk with me, learn from me. I will carry what you can't. This is where many of us miss it. We think that the way to deal with our exhaustion is to drop our responsibilities and just check out. But Jesus isn't offering escape. He's offering partnership. He doesn't take away every struggle, but he carries the weight with you. Here's the second question for you to wrestle with. Whose yoke am I carrying right now? Jesus doesn't leave us wondering what will happen if we come to him and take his yoke. He gives us a clear promise. You will find rest for your soul. This is more than physical rest. It's soul rest. The kind of rest that can't be stolen by circumstances. The kind of rest that doesn't depend on whether life is calm or chaotic. The people listening to Jesus were living under constant tension, political instability, social unrest, heavy religious pressures. He wasn't promising them an easier life on the outside. He was promising peace on the inside. That's what we need today. Because if we are honest, most of us try to find rest in temporary fixes. We think, if I could just get through this week, if I could just get that job, if I could just move to that place, if I could just find that relationship, then I will finally find peace. But what happens? We get the thing, and soon the restlessness comes back. Because the problem isn't just around us, it's within us. True rest doesn't come from what we escape to. It comes from who we belong to. And I know this personally. I grew up carrying a lot of trauma. Life felt unjust and hopeless. I reached to a point where I stopped believing that God even existed. My life became a constant chase for distractions, anything to fill that emptiness. I lived in a cycle of the highs of parties, friends, and moments that felt exciting, followed quickly by the crash into a depression and despair. The harder I tried to fill the void, the more restless I became. Then I met Jesus. Not religion, not rules. Jesus, and everything changed. My life didn't suddenly become easy. I still have a lot of struggles. But the weight I carry isn't crushing me anymore. For the first time, I wasn't alone at all. I discovered the kind of rest Jesus promised. Not escape, not denial, but a peace that holds even when life is messy. That's why when Jesus says, come to me and I will give you rest, I believe him because I live it. And this promise still stands today. In a restless world, Jesus offers a peace that holds us steady, a rest that anchors our soul when everything else feels uncertain. Here is the final question for you. Am I willing to trust Jesus with my rest? Now let's go back to the question we started with. Why are we always tired? Maybe the real answer is this. We are trying to carry life on our own. We are weighed down by loads we were never meant to hold. And the truth is, nothing in this world will give us the kind of rest our souls long for. Not more money, not more achievements, not more distractions. The rest Jesus offers is different. He says, come to me, take my yoke, and you will find rest for your souls. So here's my call for you today. If you're exhausted, come to him. If you're weighed down, come to him. If you've been chasing peace in all of the wrong places, come to him. Not just once, but every day. Bring him your burdens. Bring him your doubts. Bring him your weariness. He can handle it. This week, I want you to practice this in a simple, intentional way. Every time you feel that wave of tiredness, anxiety, or heaviness hit you, stop for a moment and pray. Jesus, I come to you. Carry this with me. Give me your rest. Make it a routine. Don't carry the load alone because his promise still stands. you will find rest for your soul. In a moment, we're going to move into the discussion part of our service. This is where we get real together. I don't want this to just be a message you hear. I want this to be a conversation we live out. And before we close, I wanted to invite you to come back next week. We're continuing this series with a message called Enough is Enough. If this week was about finding rest for your soul, next week will be about finding peace with what you have. Not chasing more, not always striving, but learning to live in the freedom of knowing Christ is enough. Bring a friend and let's grow together in this.